I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to week 3 of the EURC playoffs, where we have a match that's so good we had to give it a day all to itself and bring on hype men from both colleges as well to give us a taste of what's to come. We're going to be having the Beckett Bears versus the Essex Blades here in the lower bracket. Loser will be going home. This is an elimination match, and the winner will go on for another English rematch. It'll be the Salford Lions. Of course, besides our hype men, we are also joined by Orion, which is always nice, usual here on our panel. And Orion, tonight's game looks set to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones in this lower round 3 now, as Salford swept the Martinis in the other side of this kind of bottom half of the bracket. And also we saw on Monday Bournemouth just winning out against Tilburg 4-3, best of 7 and a game 7 overtime to boot as well. So we've just got 2 matches left now in this lower round 3, and that is FHGW against ULB, which will be happening on Sunday, and this match upcoming very shortly, which, as you say, is the Beckett Bears going up against the Essex Blades.
Yeah, very exciting altogether. And that's enough out of Orion, because we have new faces here on the panel. We have Hoggy joining us from Beckett, and we have Road Ripper joining us from Essex Blades. And Road Ripper, you've talked it up a couple of times. This is the revenge arc now for Essex. After they got reverse swept in groups, they've been fighting their way through the lower bracket just to make it to this point.
Exactly. This is the point for us to make our return. It was a painful loss against Beckett Bears back in that 3-2 reverse sweep. It wasn't good for us, but this is the arc, and we want to give the people what they want to see. And we're back. Beckett Bears might have thought they got rid of us and knocked us to the lower bracket, but we're back and we're ready to take back the game and the series that we lost.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I mean, Hoggy, look, Beckett, they've had a bit of a rough time in the upper bracket. Running into the Berlin Phoenixes, I mean, it's understandable to go down to the lower bracket after that. Got to still be feeling good about your chances. Just deny Essex this revenge, right?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, when you go up from going up against a team like Berlin to a team like Essex, there's obviously a massive gap there. So it's kind of, It's definitely not the same caliber, but I mean, they've worked hard to come to where we are, but probably it's going to knock them out again, if we're honest.
Ooh, a little bit fighting words there, but I mean, over on the other side, right, Road Ripper, it was 4-3 in the first round lower bracket. It was 4-2 then over Kiel. So I mean, surely tonight's just going to be the 4-1. It's easy for you.
It's exactly. We're going down from 3-2-1, and it's going to be a 4-0 the other one. But we're going to make light work of this. It's just how the script's going, and we've got to play to how the story is going. And we are a bit of storytellers here, and we do like to put on a show, so we're going to give the people what they want, and we're going to take it 4-2.
Yeah, the script is absolutely vital. You got to stick to it on those ones. And I mean, look, at the same time, that script, whichever one of you win, is going to lead to running into Salford. I mean, they're looking pretty strong at the moment, Hoggy. It's going to be a little bit scary. Are you guys worried that even if you win this, that Salford are going to be a tough matchup in the future?
I mean,
when you win
there's a bit of an... like a factor which wasn't revealed when we were playing Essex the first time, was that Matty actually had a broken controller, and now it's fixed and he's feeling better than ever. So I think if all the lads are playing top form, it's just easy for them all.
Yeah, hopefully then it actually does work out. And of course, I'm going to come back to Orion and give him a bit more of a chance to talk about this matchup. This is the first time we're seeing a rematch from the group stages at all here in our playoffs bracket, which has the potential, to be a bit spicy. These teams, do you think that they know each other? We'll ask the actual analysts in a second, the guys from the college. But do you think these teams will be coming in with a game plan now that they know each other a little bit better?
I mean, yeah, and obviously they're 2 UK teams, so they've probably played each other at least a couple of times in both the previous NSE splits, maybe as well in the Newell, the other competition. So. Yeah, I think, Beckett, they've dropped to lowers and they immediately want to get a win here. They don't just want to have two on the bounce and drop out straight away. I'm sure that they would like to get a win and at least advance and face Salford, who I think on paper are the better team, but you never really know with Salford. They haven't looked in great form recently, despite 4-0ing the Martinis the other day. That was with Aaron. But yeah, the Essex Blades, they have had a really good lower bracket run. Like taking out Twente 4-3, that is a huge result. Like Twente were a very strong team and easily could have made it to this low as round 3, but did fall to Essex. And also the Kiel Krakens as well, who I think actually might have been playing with a sub in that series. I think that their sub's name is Doos or something like that, if I remember correctly. So maybe not quite representative, but still Essex, throughout the season, they started it off, you would say poorly. I think that's a fair word to use. And they have managed to regain and really get some momentum. And they've got momentum in that lower bracket now, and we'll see if they can keep it going against the Beckett Bears here.
Absolutely. So, Hoggy, you've heard some absolute slander just there, saying you started your season off slowly. We're going to come back to you one more time before we head to predictions. I mean, how good are Beckett feeling? Or Essex, let's talk them up a bit. How good are you going to be in this series?
Well, I think definitely, as we say, we're coming really hot. Switches has also said he's removed back his mud from his game and he feels even better than he did before. So he's said he's actually now playing properly. Bit of placebo, So we definitely have a lot going for us. And I think 4-1, as you say, we're going down 3-2-1. It's going to be a 4-1 for us.
All right, glad to hear it. Hoggy, quick, talk up the boys. Beckett, best team in the tournament?
I mean, if Rahu can 1v3 Essex, what can the boys do when they're all in top form? So
that's absolutely fair. And that means we're going to head into predictions. I think, look, we'll know probably what our two guest panelists are going to be predicting, but we'll come to Orion first. And which way are you feeling this series?
I'm going to give it to the Beckett Bears in game 6 or 7. Because I think Essex will put up a fight, but I think overall the Beckett Bears will probably just have that consistency for that bit longer. Essex, it's something that they have lacked before, is consistency and ability to close out a series. So I think the Beckett Bears have probably got this one.
That's fair enough. We're going to go to Road Ripper next. I mean, you're probably backing Essex, but there is a chance here to try and jinx Beckett if you wanted to go for it.
Oh, you mean Hoggy, because he just went for me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, whichever one we're going. Yeah,
go on, Hoggy.
We're saying Road Ripper. The prediction was 4-1, and we'll come to Hoggy. You have the chance now to jinx the other team.
I'm never gonna lie. I'm always supporting Beckett, of course. But to be honest, Essex is still a good team, so I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I reckon possibly a game 6 win for Beckett, like a 4-2 or something like that.
Well, we'll keep our hopes that we actually do go long in this series, because whatever happens, it should be entertaining. I'm going to side with the Essex Blades as well. I think coming in with momentum potentially gives them a little bit of an edge here, as they've been playing well. They've just been looking like they've been improving over the course of the tournament. And I'm hopeful that will continue here into tonight's game against Beckett. And with that, we are going to say goodbye to our two guest panelists, and me and Orion are going to head into this game as we get set for it. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you boys after the game as well.
Yeah, cheers.
And Orion, that means it is now just the two of us sitting here.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try, I believe the song goes.
Oh, God. I mean, listen, I've already been accused of quoting song lyrics too often, so I'm not even going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. It's definitely set to be an exciting matchup here. And, we heard there that both of them kind of do think that it's not going to be a sweep either way. And I think that's probably fair to say heading into this match.
No, I think that's a pretty good take. I think it's going to be very close. Like, these were... I don't know, Essex didn't quite finish off the season the way that they would have hoped, but these were definitely kind of two upper mid-table teams in terms of NSE Rocket League. Like, Essex were probably an outside shot at top 6 coming into the season in NSE. And the Beckett Bears, I believe, statistically on paper, they could have actually made it into that top 6, but didn't go their way in that final week. So I think we really do have a hotly contested matchup on our hands here. It's Essex with the momentum, Beckett Bears having dropped to that lower bracket and trying to get a first win on the board here. Very excited to see how this series pans out.
It's going to be such an early goal for the Essex Blades, though. That's gone in, and it's only 7 seconds in. I mean, if you want to talk about momentum, that's one way to get it at the start of the series.
Yeah, that was very rude. I hadn't even finished my intro there, and they'd already scored. I was in full flow, and all of a sudden the goal has gone in favour of Essex, but I'm sure that they're not going to complain about that, getting one on the board with only 7 seconds gone. So we'll see if they can use that as a bit of leverage going forwards as the series progresses, or as this game progresses, I should say.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on how the momentum actually starts, because it's very hard to tell anything about a goal that goes in that early about how these two teams are actually playing. That's it'll feel really good. It'll definitely count on the scoreboard, but it won't really tell us how these matches are going to shape up. So we're going to keep an eye now as the midfield battle really starts to evolve here, as each team now looking to start maybe putting the first real period of pressure onto an opposition defense that we'll see in this game. That's Lexington's passing out to Switch. Switch gets a touch that ball, which beat a defender, but no one over on that side of the pitch for the Essex Blades meant that nothing else was going to come. That's a good dunk by Mosley, keeping the ball up in this end. Switch controlled. That's smart play, giving time for the rest of his team to actually get back in. But it's Rahu off the ceiling. It's a shooting chance. It's missed by Matty. It might just bounce in anyway. It won't this time around, but that's Beckett Bears, I think, with the first real chance created of the game.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward one there. It was just players waiting for other players to make touches, and then when nothing comes through, you just kind of panic and flop at it, and that's exactly what happened there. Almost created an opportunity for Beckett. Here's Switch with an opportunity of his own. Can George turn this one in? No, just coming from the opposite side of the ball there, not able to wrap himself around it and put it on target, but still in that blue half. Maybe not for long though. Here comes Matty, maybe looking for a bump in there. Great flick, it's top corner from Matty. Equaliser now for the Beckett Bears.
It's a hard one to defend, especially with the follow-up from Rahu, who was sitting in the middle here. And it means George kind of needs to be aware that as he's shadowing the player, it could be a pass or it could be a shot. And in the end, going for the shot, Matty able to beat the defender. We're tied up 1-1 now.
Yeah, and only a minute 30, so the momentum not being held by Essex here. They got that early goal and they weren't able to get a second 2-goal cushion. Definitely a more comfortable one than a 1-goal, and now it's evaporated completely and we're back at deadlock here. Oh, that is a good shot. Rahu off his own crossbar. Great defending from him. Switch trying to get that flick, but early challenge from Mosley is going to snuff out the danger immediately. Now a bit of sustained pressure coming out, but never mind. George with a massive dunk. It's going to force Rahu onto that back line. Not much boost to his name here and struggling to make a play. Thankfully, Mosley recognizing that, just showing that the Beckett Bears, their communication on defense is pretty good right now. They have a good team chemistry going on, and so far no real danger just yet.
Yeah, but it has definitely been back and forth. It's both teams trading blows right now. No one really has the advantage, and that's reflected in the scoreboard as well. But I'm sure Essex would love to get one. That's an absolute boomer of a pinch. The amount of speed on that one, if it had gone on target, I think there's no way a car would just get demoed by the ball if that one went through them.
Yeah, the ball would hit the car rather than the car hitting the ball. Yeah, we'd have a broken octane. Someone get a repairman out here. Like an AA van just pulls up.
Yeah, did the AA go to whatever pitch we're on today?
Yeah, Utopia Coliseum, I believe.
Utopia,
I don't know. Might be a bit out of range. Have to check the insurance on that one. But with 2 minutes still to go, we are still all tied up in about 1 minute and 30 seconds since that Beckett Bears equaliser. And as you say, it has really been end-to-end. Oh, Rahu, that was a sneaky little touch. Gets the demo as well. George putting it into his own corner, but with no boost. Oh, he's able to get a touch on that one, courtesy of just a pop into the centre. Here comes Matty trying to get one over the top. It's absolutely relentless now, but finally some breathing room, unless Mosley can put this one onto the backboard. George, very awkward, dropping down. Mosley not getting the double touch. Great free jump from George there, just to deny that shooting opportunity.
Yeah, well played. And as you say, it's end-to-end. I think it's good defense and particularly good clears coming out of both teams is what's allowing this game to unfurl the way it has. As I say that, there's a lot of defenders missing that ball, but Matty will take it off the back. It's a little bit dangerous. There's a demo underneath behind him as well. But you can see it. The defense is strong. The rotations are good. That's a good infield pass, though. And when defenses are strong, when players are getting in the way of the ball, you need passes like this to crack it open.
I think that might have even been a bump there. Yeah. Oh, it was Mosley bumping George out of the way and then had to recover for it and just couldn't get there. So not really a bump I was expecting, but I was going to talk about the fact that both teams are just looking for bumps and demos constantly at the moment. We saw about 3 in the space of 30 seconds for either side. So I think that is kind of the name of the game at the moment. Just punch that hole in defense by taking out one of the other team's players.
Yeah, and it's worked out here for Essex, who after getting the lead 7 seconds in, lost it, but have now found it again with just a minute left on the clock. This is definitely a more comfortable period of the game to have your lead in, as they look to maintain it by just keeping the pressure on. They're not letting Beckett get out of their own half. Those clears that we were just complimenting a second ago are struggling to come through, but that's a good one. That's the 1-2. Matty up again. It's going to rattle it off the crossbar. Rahu's following in. Lexington has missed it, and it's going to bounce off the post and in, and that was a beautifully worked play from the middle of the pitch.
Absolutely, yeah. That was a great 1-2. Matty, perfect shot, but obviously not perfect enough, onto the top corner and out, but forced the defender into jumping for that one, trying to just get some sort of block, and then left the open net. So 2-2 scoreline now. 30 seconds left. We could be going to an overtime here, or we could be in for a bit of a grand finale to game one.
Can't take your foot off the gas now. These are the moments that are crucial, because one goal in the last seconds is enough, and sometimes you do just see teams slip up a little bit in their defense in those last few seconds. And it's going to be Mosley trying to carry it over, and instead Beckett Bears will be under pressure. No, Maddie instead, he's going to carry it forward. One last chance probably to get this one on target. Good flick, it's high. Switch needs to get a decent touch. It's decent, but it's not decent enough, as Rahu will just launch this ball back in the middle. There's 3 players back from Essex, though. They should defend this well. This is looking like overtime, unless Maddie has a little bit of magic left in him. That's high. He's going to flick it. It's off the wall. It'll be touched out by Lexno, who manages to keep it clear. Now there's racing down to the other end of the pitch. That's a little bit too far in from Switch. This ball will just drop. We're going to go to overtime in game 1 of this series.
Yeah, that was a very close opportunity there when Matty caught that one, flicked it onto the backboard. Not sure he could have really got the power behind the shot initially, so fair enough to try and just allow one of his teammates to come in. But not finding the 0-second goal does send us to an overtime now, and already we've had one demolition and some early pressure coming out for Essex until Mosley. Matty, can he redirect this one? He did manage to, but they're so hard. You've got to get that perfect ghost touch onto the ball just to speed it up, but not really alter its trajectory, and he wasn't able to do so in that instance.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, this seems to be Beckett's. It's something they've gone for a couple of times now. Just leave Matty up in front of the goal, launch a long ball at him, and pray as this is going to be the pinch off the ground. Defender gets in the way. Lexno keeps the ball clear of his own goal line for the time being. Matty, though, has been given space to carry this. He's carrying it high. It'll drop directly in front of the goal. The follow-up isn't there, as a good clear will send it wide of the post, but Beckett with sustained pressure. Now we're keeping a lot on his goal line. That's off the crossbar. George just about got a car in the way of that ball, but it won't matter as the follow-up is there, and that's sustained pressure paying off for Beckett as they find the win in overtime in game 1.
I actually ducked when that first shot went in. When it went upwards, I literally felt myself crouching, but they were able to follow up and score the second one. And Beckett Bears, they went down after about 7 seconds in that game and consistently came back to tie things up, took it to overtime. And unfortunately, Essex, their run of overtime losses continues here. The Beckett Bears going to get on the board first with that one series point, or game point, I should say, towards the series. Best of 7, though, so still plenty of time to go.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to say already, Ryan, after that game 1, this definitely has the feeling of a series that could go the distance. This, yes. Both teams could absolutely bring this to 7 games, as they have just been backwards and forwards. It doesn't feel like there's a clear advantage coming out in either direction.
No, there were definitely periods where there were, momentum swings, but they were very, very short-lived. And as you say, that really does kind of give me the feeling that with so many back and forth, that it's just so even that it might end up going the distance, unless the Beckett Bears take that and just use it as a momentum booster, or if Essex kind of just start to lose their heads a little bit, then we might see Beckett Bears take an early advantage, maybe take the next game or the one after that, and then see Essex battling back from behind. But honestly, my prediction is that we'll see very much of the same going into this second game. I'd say three or more goals, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Matty, E.T., the players to take the kick off there, definitely a player to keep your eyes on from Beckett as well, as they've been choosing to snipe him out with long distance passes, and he's looked threatening when he's had the ball in the Essex half. So I'm excited to see if that can continue here in game 2. It's always nice when someone's having a good series, when someone's getting a little bit creative, but it'll be Rahu put in the game winner for Beckett off the last play. Was the one to carry that play forward instead. And Essex, I think, they're playing very well as a unit. They're going for a lot more bumps, it feels like, than Beckett, even if both teams are. That's an open net for Switch, will just be blocked down. There's two kind of defined play styles coming through, it feels like, for the teams, where Essex are playing really well as a unit and using bumps to create space for each other, whereas Beckett just seem to be taking shot after shot when they get up into this half.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, especially in that final minute, it very much seemed like every play was being made by an individual. Oh my goodness, that ball just going to drop straight down on Rahu to snipe it. It was almost like Zinedine Zidane style volley, just drops straight down and bang from Rahu into that bottom right hand corner, straight past the defense there, and 1-0 Beckett Bears.
Yeah, so the game winners from last game coming through, and it's Rahu again to open the scoring in this one. He's looking strong on those shots. The placement has been good now twice in about a minute of Rocket League gameplay. And we'll see now Mosley trying to make the solo play up against it. But it's pressure for Beckett, and it felt like it's all Beckett in his first minute of this game too, really.
Yeah, I haven't really seen many convincing opportunities for Essex just yet. Like, they've definitely managed to get forward at some points, but it seems like Beckett are a lot more confident in holding that midfield line. They're going to get an open net here. Can Rahu put this one in? Of course he can. Brace now for Rahu, and Beckett, I wouldn't say running away with it, but definitely got the momentum behind them now.
Yeah, and it's once again, it's Beckett just putting a lot of pressure on that backboard, finding it. And something else we talked about is just finding Matty with a kind of long or a high ball in front of the net. And him being able to redirect that forward so well in this series has definitely been working out for Beckett Bears. That's once again led to a goal and led to that open net, like you just said. And it'll be Matty coming from the middle of the pitch with this ball. One good flick, but switch up quickly to defend that one. So instead it'll be Mosley to take a chance at it. And it's Beckett. It's one after another. They're moving this ball forward.
Yeah, and it seems like Beckett are just a little bit more confident and that little bit faster in the air. It seems like, to me at least, Essex, they play from the ground very much, whereas Beckett are very fast at reading when that ball is going to go up high and are often beating out Essex. And I mean, if there's a 50-50, they're also very good at angling their car in a certain way that they get a good 50-50. Or they put it to a teammate, or just completely take it round the Essex player. So Beckett looking very good in the air and looking very threatening when they are in above the ground.
Oh, it's a difficult shot angle. Matty ET nearly turned that one in past multiple defenders though, and here's Beckett back on the offensive again. This is finally maybe going to be a clear. It's a big miss by Matty's defense as well.
Oh, the massive brain play.
Oh, he just puts a little bit of flair on it to score the goal on the open net.
500 IQ miss there, and then both of the Essex players went for it from either side. Matty literally went from 0 to hero there. I thought Essex could have scored off that miss, but he just instantly turned around, beat both of them to the ball. Yep. And Essex, they're definitely starting to overcommit a little bit. I think just not quite communicating as to who's going up when, and finding themselves pushing that that midfield line a little bit too high, and it is starting to catch them out. But I can't really say I blame them. They've got to chase, well, they had to chase 2 goals, now 3, so really kind of having to take risks there.
Absolutely. I think it's also, it's rare that you can actually see frustration in the way teams playing, but I think just how much Essex have been left in their own half here, how much they've struggled to get good clears to get out. They saw that miss and everyone was like, yes, this is our chance. Finally, we can move this ball forward. Finally, maybe get a chance at the Beckett net. And instead it leads to the overkill. It led to Matty just getting past all of them. It's something I need to be aware of, is the defense has evaporated, but Mosley has missed the ball on the back of it, not quite enough boost to finish that one off, which I think is surprising as well. Beckett always seem to have boost when they're sitting here. You can see Mosley sitting there with 50. Matty as well, I'm sure, is coming in with boost. Rahu has 100 as well. It's one of the reasons Essex are struggling to get out on their own half. They're getting it clear to the halfway line, and Beckett just turned around with 100 boost and clear straight back at them.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. Essex, their clears have been very weak, but I do think that has kind of been catalysed by the fact that...
Oh, what a shot!
Oh, that is a great shot, and it is going to be in. I'll finish my point saying that Essex, they just are struggling to get out of their own half, but Beckett really seem to be in control of the boost situation at the moment, both on that back line and also taking those midfield boosts. It's all well and good if you can get your own corner boosts, but if 4 out of 6 big boosts are being controlled by one team, then it's going to be so hard to actually then press into that final third and create good goal-scoring opportunities.
It definitely will, but I mean, we just saw Essex. They finally got out of their own half. They finally controlled some of the boost on the pitch, and it immediately turned into a goal for them. And that's good signs for them. It means, if they're given an opportunity, they're going to be able to potentially take it in the rest of this series. They just need to get themselves out of their own half. They need to not be demoed as they move forward. There's little danger. 3 members of Essex were 4, but they're all of a sudden, they've come back into this game a little bit. They've started moving it forward, and now you'll see Lexno, he'll turn in. He'll probably take that boost. No, he won't. He'll miss it. And instead of Beckett player, I think gets that on the way through. So just as we're talking about the boost control, just as we're talking about Essex maybe starting to pick up on it a little bit, start to win out on that game a little bit more. It looks like we're going to be straight back into a period of Beckett pressure. No, never mind. That's a good clear by Switch. Essex definitely, they've cleaned up on a couple of things these last seconds, and even if they can't pull it all the way back here in game 2, I think that's encouraging going to game 3.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Definitely encouraging. I still think that they could do a bit better and change up their play a little bit more. A lot of their play is still happening on the ground, and it's being very easily challenged by Beckett. I think they need to look for each other a lot more. Like that was a great pass up from Switch towards Alexino, who was waiting on that side. Well challenged by Beckett, but definitely the right idea. Switch could have very easily just boomed that at the backboard, and then we're talking about Beckett just defending off the backboard and getting a clear out. So I think, possession definitely key for Essex, and also just trying to more readily challenge Beckett in that midfield when the ball is up high.
Yeah, and a much less close game 2 than game 1 was. Beckett Bears now 2-0 in the series, looking to put themselves on match point here in game 3. I think the 3-1 scoreline is definitely a fair reflection of how that game played out. We talked a lot during that game about how much pressure Beckett Bears were generating, how much boost they were controlling, how many shots they were getting off the backboard, and that led to 3 goals. But Essex Blades, they really cleaned it up there in the second half of the game. There's the question of whether, Beckett, they felt comfortable with the 3-0, they weren't pushing as hard as they were earlier on. But Essex, there's signs of hope here going into game 3.
Yeah, there definitely is. I still kind of maintain my opinion that I had in game 1, that it is still a close series. It was just Beckett there that did a better job of keeping that sustained pressure. Essex, they definitely had pockets of pressure, but it wasn't very well maintained. It was kind of just go forwards, throw everything at it once, and then back on defense again. And they managed to get 1 goal out of those kinds of opportunities, but it really did feel like they were penned in their own half and kind of that final third for the majority of that match. So it's no surprise really that the Beckett Bears were able to get 3. Here's Lexano with a double touch though to start things off. And as you say, Essex, there were definitely signs of hope for them in the latter half of that previous game, and they're showing it here in the first half of this one.
Was it Lexano who scored the goal in game 1 at the beginning as well? I think it was it?
My memory fails me on that one.
I can't remember, but if it was, that means that Lexano scored at exactly 7 seconds twice in this series so far. But this time it looks like it'll be Beckett equalising much more quickly as Rahu puts one in. It only took 7 seconds for the first goal, but it only took 6 for the second.
Yeah, Essex lead, very short-lived there, Rahu. Brilliant shot, gets demoed for his efforts as well, the human sacrifice there, but the shot off the crossbar, Switch just going to put that one in for good measure as well. And we've only had 13 seconds played, Nualek, and we've already got 2 goals and it's a tied scoreline. We might have 3 here, but Rahu back in the nick of time there.
Yeah, George just not able to generate the power behind that shot that would have beaten the keeper as Rahu came back in the way of it. That means that the lead swap won't happen again here, as we'll get actually a period of play where the teams actually get to set their defenses, set their offenses, and play Rocket League like they want to.
Absolutely, as Rahu, I thought he was going to look for the backboard there, instead went for the shot. Mosley, what on earth was this dunk here? It was so slow. I need to watch this again. Rahu takes the shot, such a weak one. Lexano underneath it, and Mosley just pre-flipping past that ball, able to get it underneath him again. And another lead, which has only lasted about, 25 seconds, something like that?
Yeah, it was not very long at all. The lead swap complete. Only took about 30 seconds of game time to actually get Beckett Blades back, or Beckett Bears, Beckett Blades. That's the super team that's going to be forming after this series. So that's another shot on target. No, it's not. It's just off the top left corner. Essex, though, looking much more alive here in game 3 than they were in game 2. There's already better chances being generated, but Switch has left that ball high in the air. Rahu had to get up to it, did a good job of doing so, and we can already see it. Switch controlling that back corner boost. It's not giving Beckett as many opportunities to just live their lives up in Essex's half.
Yeah, boost control is so important, as we see another one stolen away by George there. It's going to be Beckett. They were very awkward there, getting lower and lower on boost. This one could drop in. Got a rule one in the corner between Mosley and Switch. It's going to be a 2v2 for the time being. Rahu able to get clear. They're also crucially, I was going to say they're on that boost spawn, so I don't think anyone was able to get that corner boost. No, they weren't. I thought they were right on that pad, but it's not going to matter. George there with the shot, open net. The 2v2 goes the way of Essex, and we are all tied up once more here.
Yeah, and you gotta love the commitment to a Rule 1 in a game that has stakes as high as this as well. We're playing in the last 12 of EURC right now. This is to make the potential top 8, potentially to continue on to the top 6, and the loser goes home. The boys are still just happy sitting in the corner, banging their noses into each other. You love to see it on mindset, the switch to 2v2 favouring Essex Blades on that one, who find themselves tied back in the game. 3 minutes of game time left. They struggled from this position in game 1. They couldn't close it out, and the overtime went the way of Beckett, but this is much more reminiscent of game 1 than game 2 was.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say that this feels completely different to game 2, but very similar to game 1 as a shot, a double touch of sorts from Lexano is going to go in. I think I don't think he knew much about it, but it's going to work out for him. Just a flip there. He definitely boosted into that one and completely caught the defense off guard. So as you say, a very nice shot coming out from Lexano, and another goal. 5 goals now, and we've had 2 minutes and 5 seconds. This is crazy.
Yeah, I think the funniest part about that to me is, you've kind of been talking about how Essex have really been playing the ground game. Maybe they need to get the ball higher, and instead Lexano scores the first ever ground double touch that you've seen, which is a bit silly, a bit funny, and it's working out for Essex so far. They haven't needed to go high; they're just beating the other team on the ground. As Beckett find themselves now behind for the first time in a long time in this series for what is now turning into a bit more of an extended period than they've been used to.
Yeah, and I think the first 2-goal cushion, if we do see it in this game, is really going to be a crucial one. If Essex can just get that other one, although I say that, I could be cursing it here. Matty got the shot off, but not much power on it. Saved away by George. Big clear now coming out from Essex. Not converted by Switch, but the clears from Essex a lot better than they were in the previous game. But yeah, if Essex can just get that second one and have that 2-goal comfort zone, then they really definitely could start to turn the tide against Beckett here.
Yeah, they could, but they need to be careful. Some of those clears are definitely still going a bit wild and just dropping to Beckett in front of goal. They're not punished for it this time around, but Essex, right as we're going back to praising them, saying, oh, the clears are getting better, they're still looking now a little bit weak, a little bit shaky at times, and that's allowing Beckett to start to pour the pressure back on, start to look for this equalising goal. This could be it, as Mosley bounces off the back wall. He's going to go for the touch. It's a good save by George, and the follow-up shot just about misses Matty E.T., not able to make contact with that one. Demos coming through will keep Essex here in defensive mode for the time being. It'll mean Mosley has a chance to put this ball into the middle of the pitch. It's a weak touch though, and that means George can get it. But again, the clear goes just a little bit short. Again, it'll come off the back wall, and the shot comes through. Rahu denied by the defense. But again, how many times have I said again, the clear is weak, and it's finally going to be punished as Essex will concede on their goal line, where they've just been living for this last 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was definitely having flashbacks to game 2 there. Essex didn't get out of their half for so long. Clears not coming through once more, and it was only a matter of time, I felt, before the Beckett Bears were able to get a goal. They were generating so many opportunities. I think that was Mosley's second double touch attempt. It scored it at the second time of asking, and now once again tie game, 3-3, minute left, and as we tick further and further towards 000s, it is going to be getting into that golden goal territory.
Yeah, it will. I mean, there could have been a goal up the other end there. I think you saw Lexano start to turn in, decide he didn't want to commit, and then realised that he had an open net.
No, Essex.
No, it's fine. It's fine. This is a clear. It's absolutely not an issue at all. George picks up the boost, picks up the ball, and will now have a bit of open field to work with as he dribbles directly towards Matty E.T., who will pick up this ball at the back and the boost as well. And so he'll have the chance to do exactly what was just given. It's a good pressure, though. I mean, look, if your clears are weak, I guess just challenge the opposition in their own half and never let them get it down to your end in the first place.
Yeah. Bit of sustained pressure coming out for Essex now. Oh god, here comes Mosley. Is he going to go for the musty flick? He went for it. It's absolutely styling on Essex right now. Is this an exhibition match, or is this a EURC knockout match? Mosley almost pulled out the style points there, but those kind of shots are so hard, and it's so hard to be consistent at them. So fair enough, hats off for trying it, but not going to work. And as we do continue to tick down now, we are in the Essex half at the moment. Oh, can Mosley drop this down? He's going to try and pinch it off that back wall, and George there with no boost, able to get the pinch away. It's still up here. Rahu not opting to take the shot. Mosley going to challenge this one. It is down. Can Matty get there? It's infield towards Rahu, but not on the same wavelength there. A bit of panic play happening as the clock hits 0, and we have another overtime in here. First overtime we had in game 1, that went in the way of the Bears, and they definitely have the momentum in their favour at the moment.
Yeah, they've looked threatening, more threatening than the Essex Blades here in the first half, or the back half of that game, I should say. I panicked on that shot as it came through. Let's go pass into the middle by Switch. Won't quite find a teammate. Mosley was backwards for that one though. Does manage to get it for the moment, but Essex, they're not going to start this overtime like they ended the game. They want the pressure, they want this goal, they don't want to lose another overtime. If they lose this one, they would be facing the reverse sweep if they wanted to win this series. That's not a position you want to be in. Lexano has the chance to just put it to bed right here. Good defense though. Mosley was up nice and quickly to defend that one.
Yeah, it seems like that kickoff from the overtime has kind of reset things for Essex, as they did start out on the front foot, and it was Beckett Bears that had a little bit of pressure. They counter-attacked for maybe all of 10 seconds, but were forced back into their half, and now clears coming out, midfield control by Essex. Selection onto the back ball, dropping down very dangerously. Matty E.T. though with a big clear away, getting bumped out of the way of this one. It's still going for it with the breezy flick there. Almost managed to dunk Switch as well. dropping now in front of net. Rahu is there. It is dropped down. Can Mosley finish? Yes, he can. Excellent link-up play between the Beckett Bears lads there. And they do take a third game in a row here to go on to match point in this series.
Match point for Beckett Bears, as you say. And I think an earned one, obviously. They've played fantastic Rocket League, but this is going to feel bitter for Essex Blades because they've played some damn good Rocket League of their own. They brought us to 2 overtimes in 3 games. They didn't look as close in game 2, but there definitely have been periods where they've looked like the better team. And the fact that they're now facing down a 3-0 lead in the series, that's not going to feel good for them.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Essex, they had so many chances that game to, as I said earlier, just get a 2-goal cushion and then try and put Beckett on the back foot. But at every instance, Beckett were able to fire back. And I think once they forced overtime, I started to worry for Essex again. They never really look comfortable in these overtime scenarios. And once again, Beckett Bears, and especially Mosley in that game, over 900 points dropped, hat trick for him, 3 saves as well, doing it all. He had 100% goal involvement there, looked absolutely on fire. So there's not a lot stopping Mosley now, and there really isn't a lot stopping the Beckett Bears.
Yeah, Beckett Bears, they're looking very strong, and now they will have 4 chances to close this series out. Of course, in the group stages, it was Essex who started off the series strong, got 2 wins, and then were reverse swept by the Beckett Bears. History won't repeat this time around, but there's still a chance that it could rhyme, as it'll be Essex Blades looking for the reverse sweep here in playoffs. It starts here in Game 4. They need to win this one. They need to come out strong. This can't be a repeat of Game 2 again after they lost that first game overtime. They can't go back to just letting Beckett Bears shoot on net as often as they want.
No, definitely not. And I mean, just going back to kind of like before the series started, we talked about that it would be a really close series, and it has, but yet here we are at 3-0 Beckett. Like, this could easily be a sweep if Essex throw away a lead again, or if Beckett just do another game 2 and score 3 in a row unanswered. So I'm really starting to worry for Essex, as I imagine most people, including Essex fans themselves, are as well.
Oh, and I mean, you get the feeling that Beckett Bears just want to pull off a musty flicker of Breezy at some point in this series by now, right? Because
it's almost as if they've got a bet or something.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely been going for it. But that's a really good infield pass. It'll be there for Lexno, who needs to take it off the back wall. Rahu defending well from that back wall. This is nice, though. Essex maybe getting a little bit of pressure. That's a big bump, but there was 3 players from Beckett Bears back, and one of them was always going to turn and was always going to get a safe clear away on that ball. Once again, Beckett controlling boost in the middle of the pitch. Beckett looking for shots on target. Rahu up quickly, not quickly enough. And Beckett Bears have chosen to just leave this play for the time being. Will give Essex space to work with in front of this purple net.
Yeah, bit of pressure now, although not for long, as George getting demoed. Lexino forced to rush back. He's got 100 boost. I think he took that mid one. Mosley into the midfield towards Rahu. Couldn't get there before. I didn't see who the defender was, but just in the nick of time managed to get in front of it. Here comes Rahu again, though. Is he going to fake this one out? Tries to get the 50-50, but a double commit with Matty could put Essex onto offense here on the counter-attack. Shot from Lexino wasn't great. Maybe could have looked for the infield pass there. It's Matty now taking that corner boost. He's got plenty to work with here. He's going to get one reset. Can he use the other one? Oh, didn't quite get the flip, I think, but definitely went for it. Rahu in the corner has definitely got some defending to do here. It's dropped into the midfield. Switch beaten out by Mosley, who is still having the series of his life right now. Looks in incredible form.
Oh, Matty, good touch forward on that one as well. That was nearly another chance for Beckett. And you have to say that the backboard at both ends of the pitches is really working for Beckett in this series. As you know, they've scored a lot of shots from pressure onto the Essex backboard. But even when they're on the back foot, even when they're moving towards their own goal on defense, there always seems to be someone who's able to get up, get in the way, touch it towards the back wall, and then, you know, make a better clear from there as well. And I think that backboard play is really part of what's separating Beckett from Essex so far in this series.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's Essex once again that are trying to play out of their own half. It always seems like they're just allowing Beckett to come onto them a little bit too much. They need that midfield pressure and they need to try and make more of a battleground in the midfield, because they're just sitting in their own half and then going for challenges which Beckett are already like 2 steps ahead of. So Essex, even if they do get out of their own half, it is very fleetingly, and they're not really able to generate any offensive pressure going forwards. It's just get out, survive for the best part of 10 seconds, and then back on defense again.
Yeah, and that definitely does feel very reminiscent of game number 2. The difference this time, though, is that Beckett haven't actually managed to convert any of that pressure. For as much as we're praising, as much as we're saying Beckett have had all the pressure in this game, Beckett are getting all the shots, Beckett haven't scored yet, and that is crucial. That is the difference, Mosley, is the chance it'll up and out. You can't get closer than that without actually scoring a goal. And now Essex once again on the counter-attack, Switch going for a bit of a musty of his own, but it doesn't work out that time around as he doesn't even make contact with the ball, and that'll slow down this Essex period of offense as we still look for our first goal in this game 4. This could be just a win for Beckett Bears. This could be their chance. That's an open net. Rahu surely doesn't miss those. The ball will roll in with a minute 13, 73 seconds left on the clock. Beckett Bears have found the opener.
Yeah, and that is the longest that we've gone without an opener. It was a real fight. Essex, they looked more like they were holding on than, actually taking the fight to Beckett. It just didn't seem like Beckett were able to convert their opportunities as well as they had been in previous games, but they have found an opener here now, and crucially a lead with only a minute left on the clock. So Essex, they've got to find something here, or otherwise they are going to get swept, and that was an open net for Switch to shoot at. Couldn't quite wrap his car around that ball. Essex still in possession here, though, until Matty takes it off them. Lexano shot on to the crossbar, but saved over to that corner by Rahu. Misread by Switch. Mosley had an open net for a second there, but not enough boost to make something work. Matty going to get dunked out by Switch, but it's still in that Essex half. Switch carrying this one out now into the midfield. George, beautiful pass and the save not coming through. Essex, that is what they're capable of. That is what they need to be doing.
All 3 players involved in that as well, and you love to see it as Essex now have found a way back into game 4. This series isn't done just yet. Bit of life left in it. We could be heading to a third overtime in 4 games. There's only 40 seconds left on the clock. Both of these teams look so threatening on offense when everything works out, when the stars have aligned for them, that a goal could just slip in at any second here in the last 3 seconds. That could be Mosley's coming awkwardly off the sidewall, has got one time and Switch. A big miss in the middle of the pitch will open the way for Beckett. That's a pass into the middle of the pitch. It's there for Mosley, who runs into defense, but it's still nearly on target. Rahu's backflipping underneath. It can't beat 2 defenders with 1 backflip though, and it means that there's still a chance for Essex to get this ball all the way clear, but the clears once again don't go through. Midfield bumps maybe to prevent the clear from just being scooped up. It hasn't denied Beckett this last chance in front of the red net right now though. It's so dangerous. There's multiple members up, but Beckett, are they going to finish? Oh, it's a backflip by Mosley. It's a backflip by Mosley, and that means that we will be going to overtime.
4 games, 3 overtimes. Essex, they've lost both of them so far, and they have to do what they have not been able to do so far this series, which is win in overtime. And that the current game, so much closer than previous games. It's the lowest scoring game that we've had so far, and it was only a 1-goal game for not very long at all. Essex, they're making mistakes in this overtime already. Shot from Rahu. That was a bit of a haphazard block there. Can Lexano sink this one in? It's up onto the crossbar. Panic stations from the Beckett Bears. Fired back into the midfield by Switch. Lexano there to block that one out. Essex, good bit of sustained pressure right now. Can Switch finish it here? No, he cannot. It is going to be Matty taking this one clear. Gets the flick. Is he able to get back to it? Demo on Lexano. I can't see what's happening here. Switch has had to pop this one up high, and it is back to that midfield control for the Beckett Bears again.
I mean, you'd imagine when a game is balanced on a knife edge like this, the team with blade in their name is going to have an advantage, but apparently Bears really like knives. They've definitely had the advantage in these overtimes so far, and I mean, it's going to be so cruel for Essex if 3 overtimes result in a sweep. He has the flipper, he said he nearly has another touch, but he set it up for Rahu, puts it on target. That's the goal, that's the win, and it's a sweep for Beckett Bears, despite there being 3 overtimes in just 4 games.
Yeah, Mosley there honestly had the series of his life. Definitely an MVP performance for me, and it just took one moment of brilliance for him. Didn't get the goal off the flip reset, but set up Rahu and Essex. Well, they have fallen in emphatic fashion here. Made the lower bracket run, but they are now out of the EURC, and Beckett into that top, I believe, top 8 now we're talking about.
Yeah, it is top 8, and it'll just be one more match before, you lock yourself that spot in the top 6, that berth in our championship playoff day, Sunday, the 25th of April. It's going to be exciting, and, you don't want to miss out on it. Of course, Beckett Bears, after winning that match, will have to go on and face down the Lions. 2 apex predators, top of the food chain, going to be coming up against each other in that match, and, the animals they're named after are pretty cool as well. We will look forward to that series. I believe we are throwing it to a quick break, and we will be right back after this break with an interview with Rahu and our hype men back on the desk. Look forward to seeing you soon.
down and no, I'm letting go. I'm breaking these walls down, breaking these walls down. If you want adventure, then fly to home. But if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? Yeah, if you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. Away. I'm tired of the pain. Go away. I'm tired of yesterday. I fell where my demons dwell. My own little nightmare, I call it hell. Oh well, it's time to get back up. Climbing and climbing, I'm done with this ride, is what I tell myself, so I could feel something else. Yeah, I guess I had my bad days, but it doesn't mean I lost my style. Darling, where were you when my heart was on the ground? I thought time would prove that you would stick around. I guess time stood still, a king without his crown. Now I'm breaking and you're faking, girl. You never made a sound. I'm tired of the pain. Go away. I'm tired of yesterday. I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling.
Welcome back to the EURC desk. We're going to be getting reactions from our hype men from about that series in just a quick minute. But before that, we are joined by one of the winning players from the Beckett Bears, Rahu, a goal scorer in at least 2 overtimes, but we've forgotten who scored the third one. And I mean, it's rare, I think, that you see a series that's so close go down to a sweep in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we always play them close, obviously, as we saw early in the group. But like Huggy said a bit earlier in the hype man thing, Matty had a broken controller, which made it a bit more difficult for us. And I feel like now that he actually has a functioning controller, it's just was a lot easier for us, I feel. And I think this 4-0 kind of proves that. They're obviously a really good team, but I mean, we just played better, and that's what it comes down to, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Road Ripper, of course, still here from the Essex Blades. The commiserations. It's a tough
Thank
loss
you.
to take, I think. You have Rahu at your disposal. You can just say anything you want as long as, you know.
PG-13.
Yeah.
No. Honestly, I think Becky Bears played a fantastic game. We didn't really pick up the pace till like game 3 or something like that, so it was a bit slow from our end, picking up the pace, and it just didn't go the way we thought it would, honestly. 4-0, we got swept, and honestly, they played solidly all around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, it's hard to say that Beckett Bears didn't look like they deserved that win at the end of the day. And we also have, of course, Hoggy rejoining us as well. And Hoggy, I mean, you're here because you get to celebrate with Rahu now, and in the eyes of the public.
I mean, I always had faith in my boys. I mean, I honestly, I thought it wasn't necessarily going to be a sweep. I thought Essex were going to put up a little bit of a fight, but they did towards the end. But Beckett were just on top form, as I said.
Understandable. Orion, we have Rahu here. Do you have any questions for him? I mean, you know, we talked a lot about that series while it was going on. You know, we had a lot of opinions, and now we get to hear whether or not any of them were actually on point as to how the players were feeling.
I mean, yeah, I think one thing was the overtimes. You know, Essex, they don't have the best record in overtimes. Was that something that you were kind of thinking about? You know, if we can, or that you were confident in the overtimes, or were you a little bit, you know, this could go either way?
I mean, we were never really that worried about overtimes. We're a pretty good team when it comes to like clutching up when we need to. All the goals that they really scored, we just kind of felt like we were just making mistakes. So as long as that didn't happen, we were fine. We were confident in how we were playing, and there was no real pressure on us. So.
And something I'm always interested in, Rahu, is, you know, we kind of saw the development over that series of you guys controlling the boost much more in a couple of the games. You know, that got better for you guys as the series went on. Was that something you were actively thinking about? Or is it something that, you know, you're just playing good Rocket League and it comes naturally anyway during that?
Yeah, well, Essex are like a really aggressive team anyway, so they always try to boost others, especially when we played them in the group stage. They were doing that a lot in the first couple of games, and we kind of picked up on that. So going into this game, we kind of just went with the mindset of just making sure we be aggressive as well and do what they do to us, but better. And just kind of shut them down and keep getting the face. And when we started doing that, we just kind of shut them down, and that was the main thing going into it.
Yeah, definitely worked. It was something we were commenting on, is it looked like it was very difficult for Essex to get anything going. You definitely did a very good job of pinning them up in their own half throughout that series.
Yeah, that was our main thing going into it, like I said. As soon as we give them any space, obviously switches, we'll just do switch things. Like, you know, had a really good game 3, I'm pretty sure, as well, as soon as we give them space. So it's just like, we just knew we couldn't do that, and that's just what we did going forward. So.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And so then, I guess the final thing to ask you is, you know, you're playing up against the Salford Lions now on Monday. How are you guys feeling about that matchup going forward?
I mean, we never really played them before, but we know obviously they're a really good team. Got second, I'm pretty sure, in NSC, right? So, it's obviously going to be a tough game. We've got Salford, and then straight after that we've got Erasmus. So it's not going to be easy by any means from here on out. So just got to keep doing our best and do what we can.
Yeah, it does sound like you're maybe confident that you're actually going to win that series against Salford, though, if you're already looking forward to the Rotterdam matchup.
I mean, we always have to be confident. You know, if we can feel confident somewhat against Berlin, and guess what, we can feel confident against everyone else. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Got to set up for that rematch, the revenge story in the final. Of course, Essex Blades' revenge story didn't come off tonight. Road Ripper, cruelly denied by Rahu and the boys, but you know, it's not the end of the world.
No, absolutely. I'm super proud of the boys. We made it top 12 in the EU. It's further than we thought we'd get. Honestly, this is the first proper season as a team together, and honestly, we can only just go up from here. So we've been done well for ourselves, and we've got next season to prove ourselves for anything else.
Absolutely. So, Hoggy, any final questions for Rahu before we let him go for the evening?
Oh, I don't know. Not any that are PG-13, but I mean,
save them.
Are you going to do it again, Raj?
I hope so, mate. I hope so. I mean, we've felt really good that series. I think that's probably the best we've played in quite a while. So if we can just keep that up, keep that consistency up, we should be going good. Yeah, just want to say to Road Ripper, you know, GG's to you, GG's to Essex. They're a great team.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate the games as always.
As always.
Thank you very much, Rahu. An absolute gentleman. Thank you for joining us here as well. We have to say it was a pleasure to watch that game, and we wish you luck going forward as well. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great. Thank you very much.
And that means that we are done with tonight's match. Unfortunately, but at least it turned out to be an absolute banger of a series, even if it did end relatively prematurely, I think it's fair to say. We are looking forward now to Monday's games. We're now down to the top 8 of our tournament. Nearly FHDW and ULB will be playing against each other on Sunday night. Unfortunately, will be happening off stream, but we will have that result for you by the time you join us back here next Monday. It's going to be a very exciting one, as we do have the Becca Bears taking on Salford. We'll get some quick reactions across the board. I mean, Road Ripper, I'm going to come to you first. I mean, it's a tough loss for the Essex Blades. But if you look at how the Becca Bears played tonight, if you've looked at how Salford have played throughout this tournament, I mean, who do you give the edge to in that upcoming matchup?
Honestly, it's going to be tough. Becky, obviously, we know we've played them twice now. We've lost them twice, but Salford have been on the up since the start. They've improved tenfold. They've come up. They beat Loughborough. They've come this far. They beat Tilburg. They have. I think Salford are really getting it together, and they could prove quite a dangerous trio going forward. But I think it might be a very close Game 7 match between these two. Honestly, I think they have a great matchup coming up in this series.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one for sure. Hoggy, I mean, we heard Rahu there. They haven't really necessarily thought too much about what comes next, but have you put any thought into it? How are you feeling about, coming up against Salford, that second place NSE team for the boys?
Oh, I don't know. It all depends on how they're feeling on the day. I mean, when they've all put their minds to it, I don't think there's any team that they couldn't beat. But it just all depends on how they're feeling. They all can do it. It could be easy for them. They could make it tough for themselves. It just depends.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think a fair take. And Orion, you've watched so many games of EURC at this point, and probably a lot of the NSE ones as well. You must have an idea about how you think this matchup is going to go.
I'm a bit more skeptical of Salford. I saw their loss in that NSE Grand Final, and obviously, that's never a good feeling. They did bounce back, not with their main roster. They were playing with Aaron against the Martinis, which they did have a 4-0 sweep against. So that was a big result for them. If you want to talk about bouncing back, that was exactly the way to do it. So I really don't know what Salford is going to show up in this next round against the Beckett Bears, to be honest with you, because on the one hand, I've seen them in matches before, like NSE Grand Final, Exhibit A, where they've been the better team on paper, and they just haven't showed up, and they've just looked second best. So the Beckett Bears, they're coming into this series so hot, and I kind of worry for Salford. But if the same Salford shows up that played against the Martinis, they'll have Camo back by then. I believe Aaron said that he wasn't going to be playing in that series. Then I can see Salford continuing to advance in the bracket. But, we've just heard that it depends which Beckett Bears we see on the day. Again, in the same hand, I think it depends which Salford we see on the day.
Yeah, so it'll be an exciting one either way, I think, is the takeaway from everyone here. If we run quickly through the other two games that we played, we obviously don't know who's going to be facing up against Bournemouth just yet. It's going to be either FHDW or ULB. I think generally the consensus has been, anytime we've talked about that part of the bracket, that Bournemouth are probably the favourites going in. I'll give any of you a chance to disagree with that if you feel like it. I think we're all pretty confident that Bournemouth are definitely coming back in. They've regained a lot of form the last couple of weeks and are definitely looking hot going in. If we look over to the upper bracket, our only upper bracket game to be played on Monday, it'll be the Berlin Phoenixes against the Berlin Basilisks. So it's again a matchup where I think there's a pretty clear favourite going into it. We've only seen the Berlin Phoenixes on stream twice now. Both times they've swept. They've in fact only dropped a single game across this tournament. They've talked about how they want to sweep the rest of the tournament from here on out. And the single game that they dropped was, of course, against the NUIG Griffins, when the Griffins asked them if they'd potentially give them a game so they could feel good about themselves. I mean, you love to see the sportsmanship. You love to see them being nice to them. But I think definitely Berlin Phoenix's favourite in that upper matchup as well. But we are towards the business end of this tournament. Any of these teams on their day are very strong teams, can definitely upset some people. And we are now closing down with 9 teams at the moment, 8 by the end of Sunday left in the competition. We're close on our final 6. And the final 6 will be heading to finals day on Sunday, the 25th of April. Championship Sunday is going to be a very exciting one. So keep your eyes out for that one. Make sure you catch Monday's games. And a big thank you to all of the panelists who joined me here tonight. Hoggy and Road Ripper. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both on. You brought a lot of entertainment to what was a fairly short stream this evening. And Orion, of course, thank you again for being another panelist, being a lovely caster to cast alongside. Thank you from all of us here, and we will see all of you back here next Monday for 3 absolutely excellent series.